Why do the Nazca construct 300-foot-wide images and mile-long lines that they have no way of viewing?
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 archaeological mysteries.
It is one of the places where logic no longer makes sense.
For this list, we'll be going over some of the biggest mysteries related to archaeology, including lost locales, unexplained occurrences, and strange artifacts. If there's a puzzle from long ago you're stumped didn't make our list, tell us about it in the comments below. Number 10. Moai Statues, Easter Island. Arguably the most famous thing about Easter Island, the Moai Statues are a symbol recognized worldwide.
The Moai are considered to be no more than perhaps 1,000 years old. However, it has been established that some of them penetrate down into the ground by a great amount of feet to reveal the rest of the body, not just the oversized head. And the amount of patination suggests that they are infinitely older than 1,000 years.
However, while nearly everyone can tell you what these huge large-headed statues look like, they retain some mysteries. Chief among them for a long time has been how they were transported from where they were carved, since they're all so massive.
This is where 1,000 of these figures were carved, over maybe 5 centuries. For reasons still unclear, these were never delivered. But how were any of these monsters moved?
Although sledges were dismissed initially, both for their impracticality in attempts to recreate the movement and for the lack of trees on Easter Island, these days the prevailing theory is that they walked there. Or rather, that they were walked, shuffled along upright very slowly using teams and ropes. Even so, a consensus hasn't been reached.
Scientists are continually uncovering more of this history. But it is already clear that this was a remarkably complex society, of which the Moai were only one part.
Number 9. Saqqara Bird. Egypt is full of mysterious artifacts and ruins. While the pyramids and sarcophagi get a lot of attention, one of the strangest archaeological finds is only a few inches long. The Saqqara Bird is an object found in a tomb in the eponymous town in 1898. An apparent model bird, this artifact's exact purpose remains a subject of discussion over a century after its discovery. Was it a toy? Was it a ceremonial object? Some have even suggested it's an example that the Egyptians may have known about small-scale aviation, given its aerodynamic tail.
The Saqqara bird has provoked this fascinating discussion as to whether the ancient Egyptians did actually know how to fly.
While it's too heavy to fly itself, the idea has been intriguing to many. Number 8. Voynich manuscript.
It's the world's most mysterious book, written by an unknown author.
Named for the man who purchased it in 1912, the Voynich manuscript dates from the early 15th century. This early codex has puzzled scholars for centuries.
The truth is, after decades of dedicated study to try and solve the mystery, this strange book seems likely to remain one of our most enduring historical codes to crack.
Written in a language and script found nowhere else, the Voynich manuscript contains various drawings, which depict astrological symbols, people, creatures, and plants, not all of them real. Attempts to decode the manuscript suggest the language may be a constructed one, possibly a code written to protect its contents.
Cryptologists say the writing has all the characteristics of a real language, just one that no one's ever seen before. What makes it seem real is that in actual languages, letters and groups of letters appear with consistent frequencies, and the language in the Voynich manuscript has patterns you wouldn't find from a random letter generator.
As for its purpose, it's generally believed to be a record of herbs and knowledge of the planets. However, the seemingly coded language, as well as the fictitious plants and animals, have many wondering if the Voynich manuscript could have deeper or weirder origins.
There are theories that the book might have been written in a kind of encoded Latin, or that an alien wrote it while being held captive in a monastery, or that Leonardo da Vinci wrote it as a child.
Number 7. Stones of Pumapunku. Located in Bolivia, Pumapunku is an archaeological site in modern Bolivia constructed by Tiwanaku culture. The location's most distinctive and mysterious feature is its stone blocks.
That is part of the great mystery of Pumapunku. It seems as though some kind of factory was set up there to make these almost exactly the same. It's almost like a Lego system of interconnecting blocks, and that is unique on this earth.
razor straight and featuring interlocking holes that fit them together like a Jenga tower, these stones seem remarkably advanced in their construction for being made in the 6th century AD.
It's like some giant cataclysm just wiped out this entire area. Archaeologists are baffled by what Pumapunku was, how it looked, and what the purpose of this enormous structure would have been.
The stone's uniformity suggests mass production and highly accurate measurements, which flies in the face of what even the Tiwanaku's successor state, the Incas, were capable of centuries later. Pumapunku has been a popular subject of fringe theories, such as ancient advanced civilizations or alien intervention.
There is now very little doubt in my mind that Pumapunku was built with some sort of extraterrestrial technology, and that its destruction was probably caused by a great flood, perhaps the same flood that is described in the Old Testament.
However they were made, these stones are a remarkable feat of engineering. Number 6. London Hammer. Appropriately found in London, Texas, the London Hammer is a typical iron workman's hammerhead and part of a wooden shaft.
The hammer itself was found in the Travis Formation. It's a concretion of sandstone. And it usually takes about 140 million years for this to form. That would put it at 140 million years old.
What makes it so contentious is its potential age. Many regard it as an anomalous or impossible artifact due to being found encased in rock from the Cretaceous era. How could a man-made tool exist in rock from millions of years before humans existed? The most common explanation is that a natural concretion effect occurred around a more modern hammer.
When we were making steel for tools, part of the process is to use a blast furnace to remove carbon out of it completely, but we always have about 0.2 to 2% left over. There's always a carbon signature on our steel, but there wasn't any carbon whatsoever that was found in this particular material.
Unfortunately, definitive dating of the artifact is likely difficult since it currently resides in a creationist museum, which does not allow tests on their proof. Number 5. Stonehenge. One of the most famous archaeological sites in the world, Stonehenge is a ring of stone megaliths in southern England.
Standing here in the shadow of these huge stones, these megaliths, you can't help but be in awe of those ancient builders.
Constructed sometime between 4,000 or 5,000 years ago, Stonehenge's exact purpose has never been confirmed, since its builders left no written records. The reasons vary from the astronomical to the supernatural. Still, the site has been a burial ground for millennia.
In the 1920s, nearly 60 human burials were excavated here, many in that outer ring of 56 pits known as the Aubrey Holes. But the discoveries were hardly acknowledged.
In addition to why it was constructed, how has also been a matter of debate. Although some are incredulous that the huge stones could have been moved the many miles from where they were cut without modern tools, several explanations have been offered and even demonstrated.
The predominant theory as to how the megalithic blocks were moved is that the builders fashioned sledges and rollers out of tree trunks to lug the blue stones from the Preseli Hills, then transferred them onto rafts and floated them first along the Welsh coast and then up the River Avon towards Salisbury Plain.
But however much we learn about it, Stonehenge will always maintain its mystique.
Why is it here? What's it for? How was it built? The answers are lost in the mists of time.
Number 4. Indus River Valley Civilization. Also known as the Harappan Civilization, this ancient society lived in the Indus River Valley in what is now India and Pakistan some 5,000 years ago, making it one of the earliest civilizations on Earth.
No less than 1,000 sites have been discovered in a region covering 1 million square kilometers. The Indus, born of the Himalayan snows and bounded by Pakistan and India, is 3,000 kilometers long. Its valley was home to a flourishing civilization.
Despite its storied history, many things remain a mystery about it. Chief among these are its writing system and its fate. The Indus script lacks a proverbial Rosetta Stone, so it is yet to be deciphered. However, some theories exist as to why it disappeared.
In 1977, British researcher David Davenport discovered that part of the archaeological site showed evidence
of having been destroyed by an extremely powerful explosion.
The prevailing reasons for its decline are outside invasion, possibly from Central Asia, as well as climate change and natural disasters, leading to drought and forcing its people to migrate. Number 3. Lost City of Haliki.
Haliki has always eluded those who have searched for it.
The ancient Greeks told of a city that sank beneath the waves.
Welcome to the city of Atlantis.
No, not Atlantis. Haliki. Unlike that legendary location, Haliki is confirmed to have been a real place. Once part of the Achaean League, Haliki sank underwater after an earthquake and tsunami devastated it in the 4th century BC.
This is a Haliki fault. We think this is the fault surface that was probably responsible for the earthquake that destroyed the Haliki.
We know from an earthquake in 1861 that this fault has one peculiar quality. It makes the ground sink.
For decades in the 20th century, archaeologists and marine explorers searched for Haliki's location. It was finally discovered in 2001. However, while Haliki has been rediscovered, there are still many secrets to uncover about this lost city, and its location underwater makes research a tough proposition. Number 2. The Antikythera mechanism. Computers are a modern invention, right? Wrong! Recovered from a shipwreck off the coast of the Greek island of the same name, the Antikythera mechanism is one of the oldest analog computers ever discovered, dating from somewhere between the 3rd and 1st centuries BC.
If it hadn't been discovered when it was in 1901, no one would possibly believe that it could exist because it's so sophisticated.
The mechanism was designed for predicting not only the positions of the 5 observable planets in the night sky, but also eclipses decades in advance. Clockwork mechanisms were previously thought to not have been invented until centuries later. And given its complexity, it seems certain that the ancient Greeks had made other devices of similar construction and capability.
It rewrites the history of technology. It tells us that things were going on in 2nd century BC Greece which we had no idea about.
We still don't know how the mechanism was constructed with the tools available at the time, or what other mechanical wonders they made.
Some have argued that it's so complex the Greeks couldn't have made it at all. There are even some who say it must have been created by aliens.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Bronze Age collapse. During the 12th century BC, the cultures of the Mediterranean Sea experienced violent upheavals that led to many of them either declining or falling outright. The suddenness of the collapse has intrigued archaeologists and historians for centuries. Records of the time indicate raids by so-called sea peoples, which may have contributed to political instability. The advent of iron weapons may have also led to more losses by existing civilizations who didn't adapt quickly enough. There's also evidence of a succession of disasters, including volcanic eruptions and earthquakes. Pollen samples also suggest a period of higher heat, and climate change could have led to drought. The most common explanation involves some or all of these. A perfect storm that led to this massive societal collapse.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.